Uh, I'd say it's tricky. I think that I wouldn't doubt the Gallup results. I think there's always a little bit of skepticism on America's part with the media. But I also think typically when we look at information sources or the way people are getting their information, it still tends to be media. If you are, it's not necessarily like print journalism anymore, or it might not even be the 6 o'clock broadcast, but you're getting it through possibly the internet version of your local paper. If you're reading a blog, your blog is probably aggregating sources from conventional media, either news or like print media or video. So I think Americans may be skeptical, but we're still using that as the primary source of information about politics. The one thing the Gallup poll doesn't do, or one thing when you ask a question like that it doesn't do, is it doesn't go into nuances between different media. You're lumping it all together. So if you look at a source like an MSNBC or a Fox or New York Times or Wall Street Journal that maybe have a little more of a bent to them, like they're designed to be a little more liberal or designed to be a little more conservative, they may score one way, whereas something that's like the NewsHour on PBS, which is not the most exciting source of news, but it's more down the middle, it might score a little bit higher on that. So I think, I think looking at the nature of the specific media you're talking about can vary based on that. Right now we're kind of dominated by this yelling at each other culture. The shows that or the media sources that don't have that kind of aspect to them, or they don't go for the fighting as much as the information. We don't. That's not what comes to people's mind first off. So perhaps if it did, then that could change it. But I don't know. Well, positively, it's a source of accountability. It's a way that you can keep up with what elected officials are doing, even if you're not there. Right? That's always been. Congress has always been open, at least the gallery of Congress has always been open to reporters. Because the idea was you'd be there, you can watch, and then you relay it back home, and then that makes the voters more informed. So that's a positive effect. That watchdog effect is positive. The agenda setting power of the media is also pretty important, drawing attention to an issue. If a paper does a 5-day kind of in-depth investigative piece on some kind of policy, it educates readers, it lets them think about it. Politicians are sometimes forced to respond to it even if they didn't want to, and it can draw attention to an issue. On the flip side, it's we're soundbite oriented, so you can be taken out of context and something can get caught and run over and over again in kind of an echo chamber, right? For lack of a better example, in 2008, after losing in Iowa, Howard Dean gave his, rah kind of speech. And it was the end of a speech, it was one piece, but that one moment got played over and over again. Or in 88, which is probably before y'all were born, Michael Dukakis was in a tank and gave his thumbs up, and it was just a moment. It was a tank moment, and reporters talk about it as it's got that feel to it. And that was played over and over and used in an ad, and it was a kind of a, it's sort of summed up, it didn't sum up his campaign, but it was something that came to define him. It was only a piece of what he did. So I think that kind of 24-hour news cycle, the need to put things up there, I think that can be a challenge. And we don't always wait anymore, right? It's one thing, it used to be the news would happen and you would have to wait till the 6 o'clock broadcast, or you'd have to wait till the morning paper came out to hear what happened. Now it's instant. And most of the time that's fine, but sometimes it can be that circumstances change very quickly. If we're dealing with a disaster or an emergency where situations are updating, by the second, or rumors are flying around. Rumors can sometimes get reported and that's not true. So so that's another impact that could be sometimes can be a little negative, I'd say.